Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
How you doing, everybody?
How are you?
On in. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. I am wonderful. I am awesome.
This 26th day of October.
Yes.
The year's going by.
It is 2 days before my birthday.
How many days?
2 days.
2 days. Okay, so this is a lot of birthdays this week.
It is. There's a lot of birthdays this month, period.
Yeah, my dad's birthday is Halloween, and then my brother's birthday, I think, is tomorrow. I need to check and see. But gosh, are you? So you're not? I guess you're not having the party because I haven't heard anything about it.
No,
or I'm not invited.
No, I'm not, because you know what? I had gotten a couple of people who called and wanted to get their hair done. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna kind of map out my schedule a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I do, it'll be something later in the evening, 8 o'clock or so on Saturday night. If I do something, and nothing too big, but I do want to do something because I miss people. I miss being in the company of people.
Oh, yeah.
And just talking and socializing, and it's Halloween. It's just Halloween. I would love to just, share some hot dogs and some chili or something.
Exactly.
Even just some virtual stuff, like some virtual couple games or something.
Oh, that would be cute.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to take a lot of planning between now and your birthday, if that's what you plan on doing.
The virtual game? Well, maybe. But now a lot of people are have planned out things on virtual things, so I don't have to look far because people are now, starting to do the murder mysteries virtual and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Angelia says, remember to vote. That is so true. Next week, make sure that you guys get out and vote if you have not. Have you voted already?
I have voted already, yeah.
Yeah, we voted in September, so we're good. We're good. Yeah.
We voted a couple of weeks ago, so yeah, we're good too. But there are people out there who have not voted, and please do not be intimidated at the polls if you are choosing to go to the polls. And please do not, yes, that sounds wonderful, virtual cocktail party. Yes, actually that does sound good. And don't be intimidated at the polls. Don't be intimidated if you have gotten a ballot and you requested for a ballot and you did not return it, because you can go to the polls and you can, I think you can turn it in, and they should allow you to vote. Because I know that happened during early voting. So hopefully if somebody knows a little bit more about that, can you still turn in your ballot, your mail-in ballot or whatever at the polls when you go, and then you'll be able to vote. So if anybody knows who's on here knows more about that than me, then say so, because I know that Walter did that and he was able to turn his in, and then they allowed him to vote during early voting. So.
Oh yeah, because I think early voting ends Saturday here.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So if you haven't gone out and you want to go early voting, and you got your ballot and you've changed your mind, just take your ballot, and then you're still able to vote early. So don't be intimidated. Even if you get letters in the mail, like some people have gotten, your rent's going to increase or things are going to happen. Don't be intimidated by that. Vote the way you're intended to vote, whatever way that is.
So what are we talking about?
So, let's start off with, there's a video that's circulating around. Hey, thanks for coming. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
There's a video that's circulating around, and with this young man and his girlfriend who are in the kitchen cooking, and she is getting the grease all ready, and they're going to be having chicken. So she's at the stove. And she turns around and she sees the chicken in this pan, and she sees that it's suds in there. And she's like, she calls her boyfriend is super excited because he's all in the camera with the seasonings and stuff and what he's gonna use or whatever. And she says his name, and she was like, why is this chicken got suds in it?
Yeah.
And he was, because you told me to wash the chicken.
Right.
And she was like, are you then she just goes in. When I said she goes in on him. And he was like, well, I didn't know. You didn't tell me. I've never cooked before. You told me to wash the chicken. That's what I did. And then he gets in the camera. He's like, y'all, she told me to wash the chicken. And that's what I did. And, So she gets mad and she turns off everything. Anyway, so it sounds like you've seen the video. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, Nate sent it to me today. I watched it. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, would you have been that mad, or would Justin have been that mad at you if you would have did that, or would you have been that mad at him? Like I would have just. For me, I would have called my mama and been like, "Can we rinse this chicken off?"
I mean, yeah, but that's what dude never cooked before.
Right.
You told him to wash the chicken. I myself, I cook. I've never heard anybody say wash the chicken. I've heard
the chicken
off. Yeah.
Right.
She said wash it. You know, I probably wouldn't have done that, but somebody who don't cook, you know, he washed the chicken. No, I wouldn't have. You know, you asked about Justin. Justin probably would have gone off exactly like she went off. You know,
really?
0 to 10. But no, I was actually asking myself, can't you just really rinse it off and still cook it?
I just asked Walter the same thing because I felt like this. Because my thing is, when people wash dishes, you don't always, I mean, you know, when you leave it up to the kids to wash dishes, they don't always rinse out. I mean, I've gotten a glass that hasn't been all that rinsed out and had, you know, some soap suds in it, and I ain't died. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and by the time you fry it, wouldn't all the dishwashing liquid, whatever it was, like, to me, with the amount of water that was in there and the amount of, I mean, he probably just helped out. To me, it was no different than putting, and people probably be like, it is a difference, but it's no different than putting vinegar or what was already on the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, mama. I would have laughed. I would have been on the floor cracking up, like just cracking up. Like I just don't even think it was that serious. And she just shut down the whole dinner. And his little feelings, I think his little feelings were hurt because he was just like, "Can you come back in here?" And she's like, "No, you just, you know." And she just commits to, you know.
She was off the top. That was yeah. She took it.
So my question is to you all guys: like, was it that serious, or would you have just rinsed off the chicken? I would have just rinsed it off and been like, "Look, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna rinse the chicken. We're gonna flour it up. We're gonna do our seasoning. And if it tastes funny, we just gonna go get something else. But we gonna cook this shit." Like I want to throw away a whole.
But better yet, if this is dude's first time cooking, is something that you guys want to do as a couple, explain to him when I say wash X, Y, Z off. This is what I mean, baby, and laugh together. You know,
right?
Do like you said, but yeah.
But she went and she was like, "This is why I don't like to see." That's what got me. When she was like, "This is why I don't like doing stuff with you." So at that point, I took that as like, she don't really like you because she really called you everything but your mama, but the name that your mama gave you. Like at that point, like cute and all, like she would have to go. She would have to go because that was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. Because what if his mama was watching? Because I would have called him and been like, "Son, listen, that's too much."
You would have, yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah. Amy says, with all the chemicals, she should have been glad he probably saved her stupid life. You're right. You're right. I couldn't have seen that it could have done any more damage than what food is going through nowadays anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any more comments on that? Thank you guys for chiming in. Where's Michelle? I haven't seen Michelle yet. But we're going to get started with the second one. And we've talked about this 1,000,001 times. But me and some people in the shop were talking about the same issue. People had different perspectives. I think we talked about this topic last season or the season. It was last season. But let me bring up the graphic. This is not, we were talking about this topic, but I found a graphic that I thought was kind of funny and looked like something that I would do. But okay, here we go. So, can you read through this? This is hilarious. So, Carol, her husband is suspecting us. Dude says, suspecting us. Do I even know you? And then it says, I'm her husband. You're now off the suspects list. So evidently he got hold of her phone. He's texting people. WTF? And then it says, I'm sorry, my husband was using my phone. Luckily, you haven't said anything. And then it says, what could I say? I don't even know you. Funny little thing, but it seems like something that honestly, it's probably something that I would do if I suspect something. But I just want to revisit the question that we had before. Is there ever anything wrong with checking your spouse's text messages, call log, emails, anything? I know we had this conversation, I think last year, and a lot of people were saying that it was wrong. But overwhelmingly in the salon, all the ladies were saying no, and there should be no issue. They were like, they just pick up their man's phone and they go through things anyway. And I was like, that's different than what we talked about on the show. Because if I can recall right, people were saying that you shouldn't have to do it and that you should have privacy and all this kind of stuff. So I want to ask the question, is there ever anything wrong with checking your spouses or your other significant others' email, social media, text messages? They were saying they go through the call log. I had never even thought about going through the call log, but what do y'all say?
Well, I mean, I feel like if you're going to that, you're looking for something. I don't think that you're going through with the intent of not looking for something. And then my thing is, once you find it, then what? Because my thing is, if you was happy before, because I don't know. I just feel like it's many-fold. I can't even say twofold. I just feel like there's a lot of layers to that. One, are you looking for something? Are you suspecting and then you're looking? Are you really? Are you looking for something?
Well, I think one of the clients said that it's not that they're looking for something, but it's to let them know that they're not a fool. It's that they were like, they'll just pick it up, not even to be really looking at things, but just the fact that they have access to the phone that will make the other person conscious not to do anything.
I mean, I think that, maybe, but I think that people, not trying to be funny, but I think that people have so many other ways of communicating. And because how hard is it to create a whole new a whole new email address? So yeah, you may have this email address, but it's so easy to create another email address. It's so easy to, I don't think that even if you did that, I just don't think it doesn't say that you're not a fool just because you don't find anything. And even if he is cheating, it still doesn't say he or she. Say that you're a fool. Like, it doesn't say that. I wish that people would stop. Like, I've just been a fool for you. No, it's not that, because it was something about this person that you cared about, that you loved, and that person did something. It doesn't make you a fool because you stayed with that person. Now, if you knew and this person was habitual with it, then that may put you in the category of being that. But if you didn't know, like, how does that make you a fool? I don't think that.
Okay, well, I definitely get what you're saying, but even to me, when the analogy was brought in, like with the cameras, people can speed, but when there's a red light camera there, you're more apt to be more cautious around it. So even though there are ways you can create, I know on my phone, all my email, I have like 8 or 9 email addresses, but they're all on the same phone. So unless you're going to be trying to be really sneaky and not even log into your phone on your phone, have to go manually each time, then yeah, you definitely doing something. But social media and all that stuff, usually that's on your phone. If you got,
but like one of my, okay, say for instance like this, one of my Facebook accounts, because it was hacked, and because for whatever reason I can't, it keeps making me log in to it.
Okay.
So, but it's not.
That's what you're saying.
I didn't set it up that way. It just keeps making me log into it on my phone. I'm not trying to hide anything, but I don't know how to do it. But if somebody's looking like, why she got to keep logging into that? But I'm not doing it. It's just for whatever reason it's not connect, or I don't know how to connect it where I don't have to keep putting in the password to get into it. You know what I'm saying? But like,
but I know we've talked about the topic about the passwords. So that brings up, if they want to go through your phone, should he have your password that he can look into it if he needs to or wants to for whatever reason?
I don't understand what is.
You don't answer a question with a question though.
You said don't.
You don't answer a question with it.
Well, okay, let's see. I have asked to use Walter's phone because I'm looking at my phone for something. I'm looking at my phone, but I need another phone, and I'm not coming all the way upstairs to get my stuff. So, he's just like, okay, and I always just be like, just get to Google, because I don't even want to scroll through your phone. Nothing. Just get to Google, or just get me to the phone plate where I need to dial. Like, right. I don't know. To me, I just feel like this. people have been cheated on right up on under people's noses, and
Yes.
you can go, you know what I'm saying, like you could go through that person's phone 1,000 times and they can have people's names listed under they, like my sister, you know, and it's like sister or sister K or sister whatever, and all the while there's somebody else, you know what I'm saying? So it's just too many ways out here that people can cheat, that even if you were going
yourself through it, right?
Why put yourself through it?
Right, exactly. All right. Any other comments on this?
I mean, what do you think? Do you still think it's okay? You don't think it's okay? You don't mind? You think it's, what do you think?
I think there's a reason to do it, and that's something that the other person earned. I know in my household, we had a conversation pre-marriage that we don't have passwords. So at any given time, there can be intentional, accidental, or whatever phone chat, and
and then I think for me, like I don't know if my husband has a password on his phone, but like I have not necessarily for him, but like I have deep conversations through text with some of my friends. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want somebody just picking up my phone, just being able to scroll through my phone and seeing stuff that some of my friends may not even know, and even for my husband. Like, yeah, even though you read it, but my friends may not want you to know what's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just think, or even my mama or my sister for that matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know.
Well, no, we have locks on the phone, but we know each other's password to get into it.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. I mean, and it's worked both ways. So, like if I'm doing something, I say, look at my phone's locked. You know how to go in there and get what I need. And
right.
If he needs to go in there to do whatever, he can do the same. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
If I get downstairs,
I have been warned about talking too much about him on the show. So, yeah.
Well, if I get downstairs when it's over and I'm calling you from my house phone tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
I dropped it and stomped on it. No, I'm joking. So, anyway. All right. So I guess nobody has anything to say about that.
No. Your mom said true sneaker. Okay. You got another one?
I wanted to, it was a one that I just actually saw today about. Actually, I wanted to talk about Taraji. Did we talk about her last week? Yeah. Taraji and the thing. Well, I saw on a post today in the DMV social that I thought was very. Hopefully, I'm able to pull it up. That I thought was very interesting about this young lady who had been married for some time, and hopefully I can find it really quick. David, I probably won't. Okay, here it is. I'm going to read the story. It says, my husband and I have been married for 13 years. Throughout the years, he has had several inappropriate relationships with women. These relationships were exchanging words such as, I want you so bad, or have my babies. One time he even planned to meet up with one of the women. There have been 5 women I know of. I don't know if there was sex involved, but he says there wasn't. Either way, he promised to stop after the first woman, but new combos kept happening with him and women. We have tried counseling 3 times and he just wasn't interested. I am completely numb at this point, as the most recent incident was this past March. I've been faithful the entire time to this man and have been more than willing to work things out. Well, fast forward to June. I received an inbox from a woman after attending an event. We have become extremely close and recently met up. I am in love with this woman and have no idea what to do. In my heart, my marriage is over. It was over before I ever met this other person. Any advice? Thanks for reading. So.
She's in love with this woman? Okay.
So so when I hear stories like that, or when I read stories like that, and it's like when you have separated yourself from situations like that, and the other person seems to always say, you breaking up our home, you breaking up, 13 years and you breaking up our home. Mm-hmm. But I like once a person has said to you, and I feel like I've been saying this like all week. Once a person has said to you, "I'm not happy," or we need to go to counseling or whatever, and if that was at week, if that was at year 2, if that was at year 3, if that was at year 8, any time that they stayed after that, they was trying to work on it. So when it's over to me, and I feel like whether it's another woman, whether you moving on for whatever reason, whatever, it's been over. It's been over because once you like, are we gonna have babies or whatever? And then he was no longer interested in therapy or whatever. Like he was meaning to do all he's doing, and you can't feel like
that was him giving up right then.
Right.
I wanted to work on it, yeah.
Right, and I just feel like don't get caught up in somebody saying, "Oh, you done broke up our happy home. What we've been together for 13 years." No, because if I told you at year 3 I wasn't happy, and I think we talked about this last year, you have a responsibility. You ain't got to make me happy, but you have a responsibility to do all you can to save this relationship if that's what you want to do. So when I'm gone, so if it was 8 years or 9 years that I stayed after I said I wasn't happy, that was your time to get together.
Exactly.
And you didn't.
I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So he messed himself up.
Right.
Saying that I don't either see a need, I don't want to participate. I've heard different, especially guys. I've heard different reasons. Even in my former, they didn't like the therapist. Okay, well, if you don't like the therapist, let's find another one. That's not a good reason for you not to want to go to therapy to work on something that we both invested in. Right. So I agree with that. What are your thoughts, everybody?
What I also thought is like there's a lot of and I know it's crazy, but I just feel like there's a lot of women who are leaving their men to be with women. It's a lot of that that's just like going on. It's just leaving, and I'm just like, okay, what's happening? Like, what are women getting fed up, or what's happening? I just don't know like what's happening, and it's like I need to ask somebody. Like
you should ask somebody and bring that back to us. I mean that's
right.
That's a good question. I still think, I guess because of just the trends changing and America becoming a little bit more open-minded, liberated. So many people are coming out nowadays. So many people feel free to be themselves. And then I see a lot of people with women and men, whereas before that was it's a nationwide free spirit that everybody's going through.
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. What you got?
Okay. I know we have a guest. Okay, so we got good time. Yeah. All right. So, okay, this is another one. Let's see here. And I don't even know how to pronounce this chick's name. Is it Saweetie? Saweetie or Saweetie?
Sweetie. The rapper, the singer, R&B. I think it's Saweetie.
Saweetie.
Yeah, Saweetie.
So Saweetie, she shared some advice when she was doing the Instagram live session, where she was detailing what she expects from a potential partner. And she said, if he's not getting you a Birkin, if he's not paying your bills, then throw that N-word back to the streets, okay? So the bag that she's talking about, everybody know, is an Hermes Birkin bag, which starts like at $10,000 and goes on up. And it's a rare bag. They don't even make a whole bunch of them because it's so much. But the greater message that she's trying to share is that finances should be a huge factor in the mate that you select. So my question is, does a person's personal finance situation or even their job title, I mean, in the shop I hear a lot of things, so even job title is important to a lot of people, but is that really important to you in being happy in a relationship? Where's my little graphic? Here we go. So the question, can a man without money make a woman happy in a relationship? I feel the other way. I want a relationship with no gender roles. We both hustle. We both cook. We both pay roles. Pay bills. We both spoil each other. Is that asking for too much? But it seems like, a lot of people in the shop, women, was kind of cut both ways. Some people want to do it half, and somebody's still looking for somebody to take. They're looking for a free meal. They think, they can cry independent whenever they want to, but they still want to do to basically pay their way for everything. They want somebody who they can, what do you?
So, so today I got a financial lesson. So this is so today I got a really nice financial lesson on retirement, okay, and the future, and having a nest egg, and how people really are doing the bare minimum for the future. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I would rather know that you are putting money in a Roth IRA, in some type of investment, some type of life insurance policy, some type of retirement policy, then you buying a dang on Birkin bag.
$10,000 bag, yes.
That is something happened to you, I'm gonna have to put on Facebook Market to try to sell, or have this yard sale to try to sell these bags, because I don't have nothing but these bags.
Yeah.
And then my thing is, and then people have to understand what if you living within your means, like maybe she's dating Birkin bag buyers, maybe that's her status. Mm-hmm. Whatever, and you work with, you got a Michael Kors kind of guy, or a Coach Purse kind of guy, or a Guess kind of guy, whatever, Walmart, whatever.
Jessica Simpson, yeah.
But I for me, I'm not, like, if I see, it's very rare that I'm like, oh, I want a purse, because I don't see the purpose of. I've had the same, which is right here. I've had the same purse, and this is the same man bag, probably now for, has to be at least 6 years. The same purse that I've been carrying, the same one. I don't care enough about a bag to spend $300, $400, $500 on a bag or a pair of shoes. Like, yes, they're nice. Yes, I would like to yes, it's beautiful, but it's not that serious to me. Like, it's not like having a retirement plan, and when we retire, so we don't have to work forever. Like, when it's time for us to sit down, like, I don't want to be that person that's standing up at Walmart trying to, make sure people not stealing and walking out and let me see your receipt, and I got to sit down and I got to wheel to the door just to tell you to come back because your bag being no.
Question then, because
about
job titles. I know what your man do and all this kind of stuff, but with the women that you talk, clients, friends, are people interested in what the other spouse does? Because they were also like asking, what does your husband do? I think that's a rude question to ask. I've even had people ask, what does he do?
You know what? A lot of women that, a lot of my clients, when they're talking about their spouses, they're I don't want to say regular jobs, but what I'm saying, like, it's okay for them. Like, what I'm saying? It's okay, which I don't feel like, because I feel like if you're managing and that you're happy with the job that your husband has, you know what I'm saying? Then that's fine. Like, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with a guy who, like, if you living in a place and what it is factory jobs. If you have a factory job and that's what we do because that's what's in our town or whatever the case may be, then okay, like, that's just what it is. But what I'm not gonna do is have no bill collectors calling my house. Now we're not doing that. So I don't care whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. You can pick up trash. You could be I don't care. But don't have no bill collectors call this house.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing.
A lot of people, like, I was just noticing in the conversation, because it was it went from topic to topic. But a lot of people identify their husband by what they do. My husband, he's a chief in the military, and I'm like, okay. I don't know if there was a part in the conversation. Why was that necessary to say? Because
a chief in the Navy, a chief but then it's funny because I don't know if you and I have ever been in the room, and I've been like, my husband is, what my husband is or whatever, and then somebody's like, oh yeah.
That's what they wanted to get from the conversation. I was just like, I don't know what that is anyway, but
Right, but somebody in the military would know, and then it's not like it doesn't stay with, oh, your husband is this. It's like, oh, I know how much money your husband makes.
Yeah, that was the response that they wanted. So
Yeah.
that goes back to me. I mean, so money is real big for you then, or am I looking into it too deeply? That you got to throw this. I mean, even people who throw up in conversations how much something costs. You know, I like that bag, girl. I paid $400 for this bag. Okay, it's still a nice bag. Why, you know?
Why you got to put a price on it? Why you got to say? And you know what is funny is because I do that, but not because I feel like when I say, oh, it's only because I'll be like, you know, I only paid like $5 for it. Like, go get one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not because I paid like if I paid $500 or $600, which I never would, I'm not tell nobody that I paid that much for it. I'm not gonna tell nobody. They'd be like, oh yeah, thank you, you know, whatever. But if I feel like I got a bargain, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's over here, go get it. It's like $5. Like, you wouldn't believe how much I paid for it or whatever. But yeah, people do put, I think, their husband or their spouse's job titles, you know, they wear that. They wear that coat like it's you. Like, I don't do what my husband does. I'm not his title.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not his title, but people do look at you, you know, differently. Like, and then it's almost like, well, you know, why you don't act like that? Why you don't act all snooty and because that's not me. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, no, yes, this is what my husband is, and yes, I have to play the part when I am in the presence of his coworkers, but like, that's not my job. Like, that's not my job. And people shouldn't, I don't feel like people should wear their spouse's job titles. But money and job titles are important to people. It gives them status. Like, even if you don't have a status, it's like, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, it's like, but my husband is a chief. My husband is a chief. And then, but you also have to recognize or realize that in the military, in the Navy, when you become a chief, it's a big deal because they are the only people. They're the only military. Hey, Lynette, how are you? They are the only branch that celebrates making chief.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's a big deal in the Navy once you make chief. It's a huge deal. And you know, they're the only branch that celebrates that becoming, you know, an E7. I think it's E7. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
do you? So you said you think it's rude when people ask, "What is your?"
Rude when people ask. People always like, people are asking about the wedding, how much things cost, and my whole thing, because I feel uncomfortable talking about money. I just say I forgot. I don't even remember, even if I just bought it. I don't even remember how much I paid for such. I think it's rude for somebody to ask that, but you know, I'm uncomfortable talking about money.
Well, I just don't think that. I mean, like, I got a lesson on that one time. It's like, you're not supposed to ask people how much stuff costs or whatever. And I was like, okay, I guess, but you know, I feel like, you know, sometimes I catch myself and I'll be like, oh, well, yeah, maybe not. I guess if they tell me, then okay, or I'll just look it up if I really like it. It's like, okay.
And I did Google some stuff. But I would never come out and ask somebody how much was that, or how much. You know, I think no, and right. I think for some reason enough people come in that shop there. I normally hear how much something costs or how much somebody makes or whatever, because they always, I don't know why they always come in there flossing. Bragging.
And then, you know what? And I always think that people who got to do all that don't have no money. They don't really have no money.
They're not used to it. I just say that they're not used to it. They have.
Right. You're not used to nice things, or you don't. Because like my mama say, when somebody come, or not my mama, my grandma, when somebody come in and they all flossed up and let, you know, just nice, my grandma would like, follow them home.
Follow them home, right? Exactly.
So yeah. Mm.
All right. Do you want to talk about? Do you want to go into another topic? Or do you want to talk about our? Because it looks like our guest is probably going to take us into 8 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit. Do you have okay? Let me ask you this. This is one more. I have one more topic. So the other day I was online and I was watching just kind of scrolling through Facebook, and I saw the best moments of Kyla Pratt. You know who Kyla Pratt is, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. So, and she's married to, it was the best moments of Kyla Pratt on Black Ink. So her husband is on Black Ink. I think his name is Danny. I think his name is Danny. But anyway, so he, you know how they kind of like do the sidebar, and he's like, you know, he's talking to them or whatever. And he was saying that when he met Kyla and he introduced her to his mama was like, you need to stay with her, because she's not like any of the other girls that you've been dealing with. You need to stay with her. And so they ended up getting married. They have 2 kids or whatever. So my question to you is, I don't know if it's for men, if it's necessarily for men or just people, just in general. Did you, or even in men, if you know, do they take more, or do you all take more advice from your parents if they say you need to stay with this person? Or do you care? Like if your parents did or did not like Justin or anybody that you would it matter to you? Would you still be with this person? Does their opinions matter?
It depends on how serious the relationship was. Now, if it's just somebody that I'm kicking it with, they probably would never meet my parents. But I've only taken, another topic. Do you know I've only been in 3 relationships? I present myself as a big hoe on the show, but I've only been in 3 relationships. I was like, are you sure? No, I've only been in 3 relationships in my life. Okay, back to your topic. I've only taken Nate and Justin home to my parents, and luckily they both liked him. But I think, knowing me, I would have still dated them. I don't know about marriage. I probably had to try to fix that bond or whatever. But no, that's not, their approval isn't high up on the list of things I need to have in dating a person.
Mm-hmm.
Not for me. But kind of linked to that topic, I was talking to my mom a couple of weeks back, and just some issues, you know, that before we hit that 1 year mark, just talking to her about some rough spots. And she was just like, you know, when you break up with somebody, it affects the parents because we get attached to these people. And you know, she was like, we love your husband. And I was like, oh, I forgot. I never even thought, you know, when you bring these people into your family gets attached to them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because, you know, people still some of them still call Nate Uncle Nate. And I was like, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. He's, you know, still in the family, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Because you know what, you know, and it's funny because when a name gets instilled in somebody, or people used to seeing you, because sometimes I've had to correct some people and be like, no, I'm so glad they're not standing right here in front of us, you know, or whatever. It's like, no, you know, whatever. But I could just, you know, I can see that. I can see that, you know, that happening because people just get kind of used to, you know, what they see or what they've been around for so long, and then it just rolls off the tongue, and it's just like, no, you need to retract that like fast.
Yeah, real fast.
Yeah.
Quickly. Yeah.
So okay, because I think, like, I know for Asia, she's already kind of said, like, if my parents don't really care for the guy that I'm dating, like, that's it. And I don't know as she's getting older if that's still the same. But I don't know. I don't know if she still feels that way. But and I think I would kind of like listen to my mom, maybe, because I know that when I was starting off dating Walter, one of my mom's brothers was trying to tell her that Walter was too old for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he, you know, she had said something, and I'm just like, why are we even listening? We're listening to him. Why? Because I mean, I've been with him for a long time. I'm not gonna break up with him. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. I'm like, wow. I'm not breaking up with him because I mean, and he was really like I mean, I've told you, like, some, like, you know, he would take me to work at nighttime when we would close. You know, he would close at his job, and he would come to my job and do my stuff. Yeah. Like, I mean, I might be a fool, but I ain't that big of a fool. Like, it's like, no, like,
exactly. Yeah. Well, you know what? Our guest of the hour has entered the green room, so I'm going to introduce Dr. Alan Like. I hope I said his last name right. He has been acknowledged as one of the leading cosmetic dermatologists globally for 3 decades. But in 2003, Dr. Leica's life changed drastically when he suddenly developed a right foot drop and then misdiagnosed as ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, and he was told to get his affairs in order. That experience, which initially took him on an emotional roller coaster, was a turning point in his life. Not willing to give in to the death sentence imposed on him by the doctor, he persistently searched for an alternative and correct diagnosis, and he found it. Realizing that each day was a gift after that, he started to live life differently. And that transformation has led to a way of living that he has shared in his book, The Secret to Living a Fantastic Life, which he has co-authored with Harriet Tinka, a former fashion model and woman of distinction. Currently acknowledged as a leading expert in living a fantastic life and turning points, he is a transformational speaker, thought leader, coach, and mentor. Today, Dr. Alan Leica is here to share some information and secrets to living a fantastic life. So please help us welcome to the show, Dr. Alan Leica.
Hey, welcome. Welcome.
Well,
Welcome to the show.
thank you for having me. It's such a delight to be here.
Such a delight to have you on the show. Your experience sounds remarkable.
You know, it's always, I find it still surreal at this point in time in my life, even though I've done a lot and seen a lot. I can't believe what I've gone through. My life, as we say, is breathtaking.
Yes.
So I went from tragic to magic.
Yeah. Yes, I like that. From tragic to magic. That's a t-shirt. So let's get started with the beginning. How did you get into medicine? What made you go into?
I was the oldest son of both of my parents were immigrants, and I think you're seeing that now in the United States as well. Some of your best doctors are the children of immigrants. So the transition that I went through was normal. I always wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the person that was the guy. And so when I went through pre-med, and, I saw a lot of things, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into medicine, I thought, but I didn't know how. My parents weren't doctors. Many of my friends says, "You're crazy. You're going into medicine? What do you mean? You're going to have you got a bankroll of Steve Jobs?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, there's no way you're going to go into medicine." Well, finally, I found out that if you worked hard enough, if you put some money away, there were some government loans you could get, and you could go anywhere you wanted to. So I applied for medical school once, and the first year I probably went and applied to 3 schools. And lo and behold, no one accepted me. Okay. So I applied again. I had gotten a BSc honors in psychology by then, going through my pre-med. And I thought maybe I'll go into psychology like Bob Newhart and become a shrink, or maybe I'll just go and become a doctor. And the second time I applied to 100 medical schools.
Wow.
I was living in Calgary at that time, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I applied for the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Alberta. And lo and behold, I got accepted in Edmonton. But a funny thing happened. When I drove up to Edmonton and I moved there and I was in first week of classes, they called me from the University of Calgary and said, Dr. Leica, could you come down? We have a position for you here now. And I thought about it and I said, no, I've moved to Edmonton now. I'm not moving back to Calgary. And funny, the same week, I got a call from the University in Ontario saying, do you want to start your master's program in psychology? So here I was, my cup runneth over with all these places, and they invited me there. And so I took 4 years of medicine at the University of Alberta. And, when you go through medical school, you don't know what you want to be when you grow up. You learn some things. And one day I spent a day in a dermatologist's office. And the dermatologist's office was so fascinating that I decided I wanted to become a dermatologist. Again, everybody said, you're crazy. There's only so many positions in dermatology. And I said, oh, okay. So I applied to a bunch of schools in the United States, and I applied to a bunch of schools in Canada. And I got accepted to schools in Canada, and I got accepted at the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I ended up going to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it was great because it was one of the best schools in dermatology in the United States. It was like home. You know, Minneapolis is not much different than Alberta in many respects. I think when you got your immigrants out, you got a lot of them coming to Minneapolis that would have ended up in Edmonton. You know, they're the same people. You know, my parents had come from the Czech Republic and the Ukraine, and many of them were living there, except more of them were from Norway and Sweden and things like that. But they were very similar folks. So I loved it there for 3 years. And then I moved back to Edmonton. You know, I got to, when I was in med school, I met my wife and we got married. We now married 39 years. Wow. So another great decision I made along the way. But you know, something happened in Minnesota that I didn't realize at the time. I was going along, and I'll explain this to you in retrospect because I want to get to the juice of my story. Okay. You know, in 2003, I was now a dermatologist. I was a top cosmetic doctor in North America. I was a top cosmetic doctor in dermatology. And I went to Disneyland with my wife, Lucy. And my wife turned to me and she said, "What's wrong with you, hon?" I said, "What do you mean what's wrong to me?" She said, "Your right foot, it's flapping." I said, "Dear, what do you mean?" She said, "Listen to your foot." So I listened to my foot. And my right foot was slapping on the pavement with every step I was taking.
Oh, wow.
My right foot had suddenly and mysteriously developed a foot drop. Oh, wow. My wife said, "Did you have a stroke?" My wife's a doctor. I said, "Dear, you're a doctor. That's not how a stroke presents." Well, then she said, "You know, dear, when we get back, you better get this checked out." Now, when your wife tells you to get something checked out in that tone of voice, what do? You
get checked out.
You get it checked out. You know you don't have any other choice.
Right.
Okay? So I got back to Edmonton, and I had every test known to man. I had brain scans. I had CAT scans. I had scans. And you know what they showed at the end of the day?
What?
Absolutely nothing. So when a doctor sees absolutely nothing, you know what he does?
What? Absolutely nothing.
No, he does more tests and more tests and more tests. He's not going to let this thing go. He knows your right foot's flapping and not working right. You know, he thought you had a brain tumor. No, there's no brain tumor there, thank God. He thought you had a slip disc. There was nothing. But he did every test that was possibly conceivably done. And then I ended up on the doorstep of a world-leading neurologist. You know, a neurologist is the brain guy. He's the guy that knows all the nerves. He knows everything about the nervous system. So I go in and I said, "Hi." He said, "You better be sitting down when I'm telling you this." I said, "Why? I've got a dropped right foot." He said, "No, you don't. You have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. You better get your affairs in order. You're going to be dead in 6 months."
Oh, my God.
Well, how would you like to go see a doctor and he tells you that, Will?
Would not like it.
What about you, Shanika? What would happen when you go? No, I mean, this guy had failed bedside matter class, I think, in school. He didn't know any bedside matter. I thought he was a brother of Dr. House, you know, the doctor on TV that had no bedside matter. I thought this was Dr. House's brother. No, but guess what? You know, but when you go through this, Will,
yeah,
Shanika, you know, you go through phases. When you start going through a reaction, you know you're going to die. You go through the stages of death and dying, defined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a beautiful, intelligent lady that wrote a book on death and dying. And you go through anger. Well, you can bite the head off nails. You're so frickin' angry. You're angry at everything.
You're right.
You go through denial. It's not the river in Egypt. It's not denial. It's denial. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. I can do everything. So I started to work 12, 14-hour days. And I started to just give her. I was going to have something at the end of this. And I was going to go. You know, the other way of denial is, "Oh, God, please don't let this happen. I'll do anything if I don't let this happen." You know, that's another phase of denial. You go through depression. You know, depression, that's when everything's black and you're laying in bed and you look up at the ceiling and you say, "Oh, why am I doing this?
Right.
I'm going to die anyhow. I'm already dead. But you know, I got enough sense together and I asked my wife, what do I have? And she said, dear, I ain't got the faintest idea what you have, but you're smart. You can figure it out. Well, thanks, dear, for the vote of confidence. I asked you for a diagnosis. You're a doctor, and you didn't give me that diagnosis.
Right.
But so, you know, back then something new was invented. You might have heard about it. It's called the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got that? Yeah, the internet? Yeah, right. You got it. You listen to it every day. We're on it right now. But, you know, the internet back then was very primitive. They had something called dial-on connections. You might have had one, you might not, but let me explain a dial-on connection. That's when your phone phones up another phone, and it goes ria, ria, ria for about 15 minutes. And you don't even know if you're connected at the time, but it phones up to a specific address. It's like making a phone call.
Yeah.
But back then, we didn't have Dr. Google. We didn't have anything like that. We didn't have search engines. So you had to know who you're calling. Well, I knew of a doctor in Colorado Springs, Colorado, by the name of David Martz. And I looked him up on the internet. And lo and behold, he had a disease very similar to me. But he got worse much more rapidly. And he was on his deathbed when a doctor from Texas came up to say to David, see, David was so now well known. Everybody loved David. And this guy came up from Texas to say goodbye to David. And he took one look at David and said, David, you don't have ALS. You don't have Lou Gehrig's disease. David whispered, because that's all he could do at that time. He said, what do I have? Well, the doctor from Texas says, I think you were bitten by a tick. Bitten by a tick? Yeah, you're an outdoorsy person. You got bitten by a tick. And it's caused a disease called chronic Lyme's disease. And that looks just like ALS. That looks, you know, and when I heard of David's story, I remember back to when I was in Minnesota. I was there for 3 years. I used to go all the time into places that I wouldn't see otherwise. I went to Wisconsin. You know what lives in Wisconsin? What? Ticks that have the same disease. Have chronic Lyme's disease. So, you know, when I was in Minnesota, I probably got chronic Lyme's disease. So I phoned David Martz in Colorado Springs, Colorado. You know, any doctor could get in touch with any other doctor. All we have to do is phone the hospitals. I phoned every hospital in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Can I talk to Dr. David Martz? And sure, the secretary said, what's your name? I said, my name's Dr. Leica. He said, I'll find him. Got him on the phone. So I talked to David. And David said, you know, this is fascinating, he said. Can you come down and see me? I said, when? He said, right now. Well, this was the same date just about now. It was our Thanksgiving. You know, our Thanksgiving was just last weekend. We have it a bit earlier than you guys. We like to have it before the snow flies, and it snows up here all the time in November, so we're not having it then. So we had it, and, you know, I said, David, I can't. He said, why? My wife's just invited 50 people over for dinner. She'll kill me. Wow. He said, well, aren't there any planes in Canada? I said, we might have one or two. Well, he said, then get your ass down here. I want to see you. So, you know, I said, okay, David, I'll try. So I go to my wife, and I say to my wife, dear, I think I got to be away this weekend. She said, why? Where are you going this time? As a cosmetic doctor, I was away a lot because I was learning new tricks and stuff in the United States. We're going this time. I got to go down to Colorado Springs. There's this doctor that claimed he might be able to help me. She said, well, I'll pack your bags. Make a phone call to the airport. Get a plane, she said. I'm going to get you there. Do you want me to drive you to the airport? Oh, my goodness. What a change of thing. So I got on a plane from Edmonton to Denver. Great flight. I recommend 2.5 hours. Then I got on this little puddle jumper from Denver to Colorado Springs. You ever been on that flight, Will or Janika?
No.
Well, let me explain. Don't go on that flight. It's a flight from hell. It's awful because that plane gets air coming off the deserts at that time for the day. And
Oh.
that creates eddies, which is known as turbulence. And so that plane rises and falls, rises and falls. It's like the drop of doom times 20. It's like the wild mouse. It's like the Ferris wheel all put together. And it's 15-minute long, but you end up green when you get off it. I got off green. Oh my God. I dragged myself off that plane. And a miracle happened right then. David was on the tarmac to meet me. This was 2003. You guys hadn't put all the security precautions yet from 9/11. So back then, if you were a well-known doctor in Colorado Springs, you'd drive your truck right up onto the tarmac and you'd meet your guests. That
Right.
was allowed back then. And he said, Dr. Laika, let's go have some coffee. So we talked for hours. And he said something miraculous, Will. He said, history is repeating itself. So he started me on treatment. And from that day forward, I wasn't looking back. Now, there's some more to my story, but you might have some questions before I go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, we're both team. We're like, okay, yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you some more of my story, but I want to make sure we got it all in so you understand it.
Yes. Shanika, go ahead.
Okay, yes, I want to jump kind of like right into like your book because you're so.
Well, let me tell you the last little bit before you know about my book, okay? So I started to give back. I decided that as a result of this, I wanted to help people along the way. So one thing I did was I sponsored a contest called the Women of Distinction Contest for the YWCA in my area. I figured you women needed some more kudos. You needed some more praise. You weren't getting enough of it. So I sponsored an event with the YWCA. And I put on a contest for women in different categories. And a woman applied for the Turning Points category. Now that was a woman by the name of Harriet Tinka. You might recognize that name because she's my co-author. So
Yes.
she had gone through a terrible life. She went through a situation where she was kidnapped, stabbed, and left for dead. But that didn't kill her. She decided also to give back at that time, to use her life as an example and wanted to get the message out. So she said, Dr. Laika, can I take you for lunch? I'll buy you lunch. She always reminds me of that every show we're on. So if you ever get her on your show, she'll remind you that I bought Dr. Laika lunch. But the thing about that is she talked me for lunch. She said, Dr. Laika, maybe we should write about this in a book. And I said, what's the book going to be about? She said, well, about all the things we learned along the way. We learned these golden pearls of wisdom, she said. We're going to put those in the book. And I said, no, Harriet, I think they should be called golden nuggets. She said, no. That sounds too much like fast food, she said. We're going to call these golden pearls. And I said, how many are we going to have? She said, let's think about it. 13. 13's my lucky number, she said. So we're going to have 13 of them. So we had 13 golden pearls. And those 13 golden pearls are the ones of wisdom. You see them in my book. They start with love and they go to empowerment. There also is forgiveness. There also are other golden pearls in there. But as I say, if you can, please, Harriet, have Harriet on your show as well, because she puts the other side of my story. Now, she's black and I'm white. She's young and I'm old. So we put both sides of the spectrum together, and I'm sure your audience would love her as well.
I am sure we're going to definitely get on that.
Yes.
And I'd also like to invite you guys for my podcast that I'm starting as well, the Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life podcast, because I think you will love that too.
We would.
Yeah.
I know we would.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
sounds like us. Yeah.
Sounds
I'm
good.
try to live my a fantastic life at the age.
Well, I know, even though you might not think it, but I know you two have secrets of living a fantastic life too, and I'll drag it out of you on my show too.
Okay.
Well, I'm just happy to. I was sharing with Will, well, my birthday's on Wednesday, so just to make it to 47 is awesome. It's an awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I won't tell how old I am now because I'm getting older every day. But I tell everybody, a man has something over a woman. At 50, we get to count backwards because we ain't going to make it to 100. You guys might, but we won't. So, and we get to count backwards. So every day I'm younger now, not older.
Okay. Well, so you speak of the 13 golden pearls. So tell me why during the coronavirus, why do you think that they are important during this time?
Well, let me tell you, I think the world has had some big trauma right now, too. I think the world's gone through some big amounts of trauma right now. And so the world is reliving those stages I told you about. They're going through anger. Have you seen how much anger there is in the United States right now? And that's just not anger that is because of some incident that happened in Minnesota. It's going everywhere. Everybody's angry at everybody else. You have driven your car lately? Well, there's road rage going on like crazy. People are angry. They're going through bargaining. Oh God, please don't let this happen. I'll do anything if I don't let this happen. Look, I don't want the Democrats in power. I'll do anything. I don't want the Republicans in power. I'll do anything. You guys are bargaining all the time.
Right.
You got anger going on. You got bargaining. You got depression going on. You watch your news for 10 minutes and everything's black and gloomy. The world's going to end every minute. I mean, every day. How many more coronaviruses do you have going on down there? How many more cases? I mean, it's black and it's gloomy and it's so on. You're not accepting the fact that this could be a good thing right now. And I want people to realize that this is an ugly, ugly thing that's going on right now. But out of this can come one of the greatest things in the world. I think there's something amazing that can happen right now. If you listen to the messages and you listen to the things, and I'm going to give your audience a challenge in a little bit to make it a better place for you and everybody else.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes. So what is the most important lesson that you learned from getting that in? I don't even know how you could have gone through that. Hearing you talking when you were saying how it basically was a death sentence. I've shared on the show previously. When I got my diagnosis with kidney disease and I was going on dialysis, I had that same effect. I started planning for my death. And then I told people that in retrospect, looking at that whole situation, going through it, I felt like it was hell. I felt like it was the worst thing that I could have been given. But I grew so much from that situation.
I think it's a simple message, and it's this one right here. It's not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens.
Exactly.
That is a message that was put out by an ancient Greek by the name of Epictetus. Epictetus was a Greek that was a slave, and he became a free man. So as a free man, he learned all those lessons. And that's what I'd like to put on to everybody right now, is that because of the things, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. So perhaps you become unemployed because of the coronavirus. Don't you think there might be another job around the corner that you've always wanted to do? During this coronavirus, I authored 3 books that became bestsellers.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
As I say, just think about that. Maybe your people will have a book inside them that they'd like to do. Maybe there's something more that they'd like to do. So don't let this be something that's nasty. Don't do that. This could be a great time to change. It could be a great time to do something. Up here in Canada, when March rolled around, we were told we shouldn't go out of our houses for several months. What a terrible thing. I had the internet. I had Zoom. I could talk to anybody around the world. I did podcasts around the world. Oh my God, this was a terrible thing. My office staff moved to their homes. Guess what? I could call them any day of the night. And look what's happened now. You can get McDonald's delivered to your house, or 7-Eleven hot dogs delivered to your house right now if you want. Did you think you could get that before? You had to go to get your Slurpee at 7-Eleven. Now it comes to you. Wow. There's a lot of good things happening out there. We have to learn how to deal with Corona, but it's a good thing if we use it properly. If we listen to that anger, if we listen to that depression, it's not a good thing. So maybe we should learn some of the proper things. I hope I could encourage your people to do that are listening to us today.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, so Dr. Michael, you are so enthusiastic and you are such a really calm
Well,
spirit.
let me tell you a story, because that's one of my stories from the book about enthusiasm. You know, every one of our chapters has a story in it to give you the meaning. And so there was a carpenter by the name of Fred. He had worked in the same job for 45 years and he was tired. He was 65 years of age and he decided it was time to quit. So he went to his boss and said, "Boss, I'm done. I just don't have the enthusiasm anymore." The boss was taken aback. He said, "Fred, you're my best carpenter." He said, "But boss, I just don't have that enthusiasm anymore." The boss thought for a minute and said, "Fred, could you just do one more job for me? Just one more before you quit?" And Fred said, "Well, of course, anything." He said, "Because I've loved this job. It's been one of the most important jobs I've ever had. It was great." And the boss said, "Okay, Fred, can you build me just one more house? Just one more house. You know, only you can do it. You're my master carpenter. I want to have this to remember you by." So Fred thought about it and said, "Okay, boss, you're asking. I'll do this." But he wasn't enthusiastic anymore. He dragged his ass to work every day. He barely got there, Will. He got there and he was cranky and miserable, and he didn't want to be there. He'd spend 2 hours a day, where in the old days he'd work 12 and 18. Well, he did shoddy workmanship for the first time in life. But lo and behold, a miracle happened. That house passed inspection. Okay? So it passed inspection. So he went back to his boss and said, "Boss, I'm done. This is my last day." The boss said, "Hold it, Fred. There is something I want to do here." He said, "We're going to have a little party. We want to celebrate your last day." Fred said, "Party?" He said, "Yes, a party. We're going to pop the champagne. We're going to have some caviar. You deserve it for all the work you did for me." Fred said, "Well, thank you." Everybody gathered around it. Now Fred said, his boss said to Fred, "Fred, I've got one last gift for you on this last day." He said, "What's that?" "Here's the keys to the last house you ever built. Enjoy it with all the enthusiasm you gave me all the days of your life." Now, Chanika and Will, I tell you this for one reason. Enthusiasm is not a Monday thing. It's not a Friday thing. It's one of the game changers you bring every day. That's
Right.
why it's one of my golden pearls. If you bring enthusiasm to any act, do you think that's going to be a bad act? Do you think it's going to be a bad day? No, you've just made it good because you're enthusiastic, right? You know, it's the end of my day up here. I'm tired. I decided, well, maybe, but guess what? I put on a little bit of that enthusiasm, and I hope everybody in the show is listening to that. And if everybody has, just put a yes in the box there as they're writing to us. Say yes to us, please.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Well, most of them are texting me asking where can we get this book. So
well, we're going to tell you in a minute, and you know, I want everybody to have a copy of this book because I think it would help them. And if it's not going to help them, it'll help their friends that are having some trouble or something like that. Now it's available on Amazon.com, but I prefer you to get it from a site called FantasticLifebook.com. FantasticLifebook.com. Because then I'll know where each and every one of your guests bought it. And then I'm going to give 20% of the price of this book to help to end domestic violence in your country. And I want it to happen in the city where people are living. You know why? Because my friend Harriet Tinka was a product of violence. She was kidnapped, stabbed, and left for dead. And we want to end this on the face of the earth. So everybody buys our book, we'll be able to put a dent in that around the world. So we're giving it to women's shelters in your community so that we can help. So we want to pay it forward with our book. We want to help in such a way so fantasticlifebook.com, and I'll make sure this is sent right away to your homes.
Awesome. You know, you have been an amazing guest. I wish we could spend about another.
Well, I got two things to do before we even get close to it, and I'm sure you got a lot. First, I want to give your guests a gift, every one of them.
Okay.
And I want to give them some golden pearls, 5 little golden pearls in a bag, and each one is associated with a saying that'll help people in their lives and help them in their daily lives. Now, these will come to them absolutely free. All you have to do is text me at 819-717-2515. And every week you'll get a golden pearl. You'll get one on all the ones, and you'll get some on love. You'll get some on forgiveness. You'll get every week one golden pearl will be given to your mailbox. 1-819-717-2515. And I'll get those for you right away. And you, Chanika, should sign up for it as well. And you, Will, should as well, because I want to give you some golden pearls to help you every week, because I know you need some help along the way.
Okay. Well, Dr. Leica, it has definitely been a pleasure having you on here. Thank you so much for extending that out to our guests. Thank you so much for telling us where to reach, we can get your book. And I'm grateful that you are giving back a portion of the sales to domestic violence.
You know, this is one thing I want all your audience to do. I want each and every one of them to go and help their neighbor today. I want them to do something for their neighbor that they didn't normally do. Maybe they don't even know their neighbor. Maybe they should knock on their door and say, would you like some cookies? And give a box of cookies. Or maybe your neighbor needs some of your old clothing. Or maybe the charities in your area, and you don't need them anymore. They're too big for you or too small for you, and you can give them totally away. Or maybe next time you go through a drive-in and buy a coffee, you buy one, and you buy one for the next guy in line as well. How about that? Or next time you're at a restaurant, buy a meal for somebody sitting next to you so that they can have it. You know, pay it forward. Make the world a better place. And maybe at the end of the day, we'll get rid of some of that anger and that blackness. Maybe we can help people that are unemployed get back to work. Maybe we can help people find a better day and put that smile back on their face that they used to have.
Yes.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we can have you back on the show. You and
I'll have us both together if you like. We'll get it together. And also, have Harriet alone, because she's the other side of my story, and she tells it in a different way. She's even more attractive than I am. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And she doesn't have white hair like I do.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your interview. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for the information. I'm definitely going to text you so I can get those golden pearls. I really appreciate all that you have talked about and all that you have given us. And we definitely love to have you and Harriet on when we come back for season 3.
January.
It's my pleasure to be on. I do this because it's my mission in life now. It's something that, as you see, I love doing. It's something that I love to do this. It's a thrill to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me. And my girl, Tammy, who's the 8th wonder of the world, will get in touch with you and get you on my show too.
Okay, so great. Yes, well, thank you. You take care. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.
Well, thank you so much. It's just my pleasure to be with you all today. It really is my privilege.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I have all these pearls. I have to get the book.
Yes.
On the website.
Yes. Is he still talking, Will?
Did you write down the...
Is he still talking?
Box here? Oh, good. I saw myself shrunk down in the little box here. You put me in my corner.
You were still talking. Yeah, I was like...
I always, whenever I'm on a show, I give a gift to the host. So I'm going to send you a copy of my book. And, I don't have a pen right now, but I'll ask Tammy to ask me how you want me to put a little caption under it for each of you. I like to put a personal message for you so you can take it away. Maybe in 1,000 million years it might be worth something, and then you could sell it for a lot more than you got. So maybe it'll be worth something. I hope it'll help you along. But I love to give you that so that you'll have that, because it's just a little token of my appreciation. And pay it forward. And once you read it, pass it along to another person, and pass it along to another person. Because I think there's people that in your city that need that book. I mean, desperately need it. I know there's people all over that desperately need that book. And slowly but surely, I want to change this world. This world is not the way I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it a better place. Maybe there'll be more enthusiasm. Maybe there'll be more love. Maybe there'll be more passion. Maybe, if we can get it together, it'll be a better place.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we look forward to hearing from her to get that information to her so we can get the book.
Well, we'll get it along. Tammy will probably be calling tomorrow. Today she had a bit of a migraine, so I'm not sure if she'll be getting this underway tomorrow, but she'll reach out very shortly.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Stay well, my friends, my new friends.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh. So the golden nuggets.
Golden pearl.
These are pearls. Golden pearls.
Yes.
I wish we could have got through a few more, but he is so enthusiastic about his story. And I could definitely resonate with the feelings that he had when he got that diagnosis. Even though mine was a correct diagnosis, but still the feelings of going through the whole process, that death and grieving process is definitely true.
Yeah.
But
and just to think that you probably have gotten bitten by a tick, like that's horrible.
I mean, I would never even thought of
Lyme disease.
I don't have the resources that he had to go through all these doctors. I would just been sitting there saying, well, I ain't dead yet,
Right.
With my ALS. But okay, Lynette says, love, Dr. Likey. Yeah, he is such a delight. I love his spirit.
Yeah.
Great. So we're way over. So let's just go ahead and talk about what we said we were going to bring to them last week. Just the information about the where is it? Okay. The information about the casting call. So we're going to do when the last show is next week, right?
Yes.
That's November 2nd. So the 2nd, and I think we said the 23rd.
Yes.
Was going to be the final day for submission. So we're going to post the link for next week, but the process will basically be 3 easy steps. You fill out the interest application form, which just has basic questions about, you, what you can bring to the show, what the position requires, just that, and then we'll select from there. And then on December 7th, we're going to have a special show where the finalists will come back and participate basically in a segment, pretty much how we do our hot topics. They'll bring their topics and just to see the chemistry. And then you, the audience, you guys will vote on who you feel like, brought it best and who you think will make a perfect third person at the table with us when we come back in January for season 3.
Yes.
Easy like that. All right. Anything you want to add?
Nope. I think that's pretty much it. And so they were, you pretty much said it all. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. And, our show is definitely going to push them to bring their best.
Yeah.
So, and to, put their best foot forward. And that's.
Yeah. I'm still getting texts from people about the guest that really like him. They said we could have gone another hour with him. Yeah. But yeah, we could have gone another hour.
Yeah, because he was ready to give it, all.
It was good information. That's
right.
Exactly. All right, everybody. So I have to go finish cooking. If you notice, I had to step away for a bit. I had to put dinner in the oven real quick.
We're going to post that flyer. So is the flyer going to go public today? Or
no, the flyer's going to go public next week. Because I sent you the form, but you never replied to it.
I was in my financial meeting today.
Okay, so review the form and see if you like it. And then next week we'll launch the form at the end of the, next week's the last show.
Yes. Okay.
That's when it'll be live and people can go on.
Next week is our last show, so we'll be doing a recap of the season.
And Justin wants to make an appearance next week.
Who?
Justin, remember, I don't like.
Oh, yes.
Mr. I don't like. Yeah.
He wants talking about me. Let me come up there and talk to people about me.
Yeah. Yeah. So see if Walter want to come on.
Okay, I'll ask him.
All right.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for everything. Make sure you tune in next Monday. That's our last show for the season until we come back in January. Well, no, and then our our promotional show like in December. So make sure you all catch our show on Monday because we'll be giving out more information about it. All right. So thank you all. Take care. Have a good rest of your week. And if you are my friend outside of here, make sure you tune in because I'm going to be celebrating my birthday for like the next all week probably because, Okay.
All right.
Have a good week.
All right.